Today on the World War Bitcoin podcast, Russia has invaded the Ukraine. Oh no, is it time to panic? We'll see. And then secondly, I'm going to talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum, why I am, while Bitcoin is in the 30s, more bullish than bearish. And I would say the same for Ethereum, although there are some signs for concerns. And then lastly, you don't want to miss this. I lay out my most gruesome, bearish altcoin scenario for certain altcoins and probably some that you love. And so check that out. Until then, let's get started with the World War Bitcoin podcast. All right, so I want to start briefly talking about Russia. So we get the news, we've gotten the news that Russia has invaded the Ukraine. Now, if you remember last week, I did talk about some skepticism with certain things about just more so a feeling that America has an incentive to scare us right now. I was never ruling out the possibility that Russia would invade the Ukraine, but what I was seeing in the charts was not, the charts were not telling me that story. And what I saw on Monday was a decent amount of strength leading into Tuesday when we got this news that Russia started to withdraw troops from the border, at least. And so that was a positive thing. It did affect the markets in several ways, and including crypto, but also stock markets. And what we're seeing this week, but the big thing that I said from that last week is, okay, Russia certainly has an effect. So if Russia invades the Ukraine, that is going to be a negative thing as far as short-term price action is concerned. We saw that play out. And so now we get the news. Again, I don't watch the news. I don't read the news, but I know some of the news. I know that there are Russian troops who are on Ukrainian turf as of right now. I don't know the day when that happened. Maybe it was yesterday. I don't remember hearing people talk about the specific time or day that Russia invaded the Ukraine. But here's the thing that I want to say is that I did start seeing some things in the charts that raised some concern that maybe Russia was about to invade the Ukraine. The charts do tell the news. And so if you remember over the weekend, I went to bed on Friday night, and I woke up in the middle of the night. I often wake up in the middle of the night. I don't sleep very well in general, but I woke up in the middle of the night, and I kind of had to do a double take as I checked the price of Bitcoin. It was at the low $38,000 range. I went to bed, and it was in a high $39,000 range. And so what in the world happened? And so I want to share what I said on my Discord, with the World War Bitcoin Discord. You're all invited. Would love to have you there if you're not already. But I said, I won't speak for what happens after this weekend. This is the first thing I said. It has nothing to do with Russia, by the way. But I won't speak for what happens after this weekend, but I am of a firm belief that opening a long on a weekend dump or a short on a weekend pop is the easiest trade a person could make, whether you are a trader or not. If you just simply follow this guideline, you will make more money in the long run than you will lose. You'll do pretty well for yourself. If you see a pop on the weekend, open a short. Go to KuCoin.com, open a short. If you see a dump on the weekend, open a long. Go to KuCoin.com, even a 5x long for a short trade. I'm talking about like hours, not days or weeks, a short trade. And why is that? Because we almost always fill the CME futures gap within a few days. Like more than 90% of the time, we fill that CME futures gap, the closing price on Friday, within a few days. And so we closed the price on Friday at a little under $40,000. And I saw the price on Saturday morning, very early Saturday morning, at least for me in the United States. I saw that price at the low $38,000 range. I was like, this is an easy scalp. And that's what happened. The price did go back up to the $39,000 range before dumping. And I said I won't speak for what happens after this weekend, but I'm a firm belief that opening a long at a point like what you saw on early Saturday morning, that would have been a good call. And yeah, if you scalped that, you would have made some money. You would have been in the positive. I mean, as far as how much of a percent, I mean, it would have been a small gain, but it would have still been a gain. But then about 15 minutes later, as I was laying in bed, I was thinking about some things, and I was like, that is an odd weekend move. Almost $2,000 dump on a Saturday morning. That is odd. And I'm wondering, are the charts telling us something? And so the more I thought about it, the more I was like, okay, wait a second. I do think that the charts are telling us the news that maybe there's something going on here, some kind of Russia, maybe Russia is about to, I legitimately thought this, and you can see evidence of this on my Discord. Maybe Russia is about to enter the Ukraine. So the next thing I said about 15 minutes after my initial post was always some caveat I have to throw out, though. Russia/Ukraine being the big caveat now, is that the more I reflected middle of the night, I hate how my brain works in the middle of the night, but the more I reflected on it, the more I was like, oh man, there may be some other warning I need to throw out. And yeah, I mean, here we are. The charts did tell the news. When was that? I think 2 days in advance, because I did immediately look into it. And what I saw as far as news was concerned, is that there were warnings, at least from some countries, that there was an imminent, that the possibility that an invasion was imminent, but the invasion hadn't happened yet. And so the charts tell the news, and that's what we saw over the weekend with that dump. That was an unusual dump. We most weekends just see kind of a range, some small pumps and then small moves right back down to the median. But what we saw then was a pretty significant, not typical of weekend dump. And so what does that mean over the next several weeks? There's lots of different theories out there. Could this be the opposite of a buy the rumor, sell the news type thing? I don't know. I would not go so far as to say that. Sell the news, sell the rumor, buy the event. The price is higher now than when we officially got news that Russian troops were on Ukrainian soil. So it is what it is, but I do want to take a look at Bitcoin and just give you some thoughts. And to be completely honest with you, I'm not super encouraged by what I've seen so far. Russia, throw in Russia or not. And so all right, I'm on tradingview.com. I'm looking at the chart. I'm looking at my FEB levels that I have set up that you can see in pretty much every video that I make. I'm looking at the bull market support band, the 21-week EMA, the 20-week SMA. And what am I seeing? Well, all right. There were several different levels of resistance that I was looking at. And I was like, man, it's just, you guys have heard me say this over and over again. It's just going to be a grind to get up there. And so the first level of resistance that I pointed out was $45,000. And we tried on 3 different occasions to break through over a span of 2 weeks. We tried on 3 different occasions to break through that $45,000 level, and we couldn't do it. We got up to the upper $45,000 range, but that was just a wick, and we went right back down. And so even just to break through $45,000, I mean, ideally that would have happened in a week, but here we are about 2 weeks after the first attempt to break through, and we're at $37,800 as I'm talking right now. And I'm like, man, how long is it going to take for us to just break through $45,000? It could take another few weeks. And then how much more so other key levels of resistance. So all that to say, any hopes of us reaching the $50,000 range by Q1, I honestly think we just need to throw that out the window. Could it happen? Sure. And there's a specific fractal that I'm seeing, like with the blockchain backer at least, that he's laid on, and we have matched up with that fractal very well, and that fractal would suggest a move to the 50s sooner rather than later. But I'm going to go with just what I've been saying and what I think to be true, and melt up all that stuff, any major catalyst, all those things aside. There's all sorts of scenarios in play. I believe it's going to take us until at least the end of Q1 and probably well into Q2 before we see any kind of move, even up to the 50s and maybe even the upper 40s. I think it's going to take time. I pray that I'm wrong. But the range, $35,000 to $45,000, I could see us ranging here for another several weeks. And really, the big thing that I'm looking at right now, looking at the 21-week EMA, is I'm seeing the 21-week EMA at $46,000, and so that's going down. The 20-week SMA is going down. Almost every major moving average, we are below that right now. So those are going down. And what I want to see, all right, at $45,000 is this heavy level of resistance. What I would like to see is the 21-week EMA move below the $45,000 range, and maybe we can break through that, the 21-week EMA. We can gain some confidence. We can hold that as support, and then set another move above that $45,000 range and above certain FEB levels. That would be great. In my opinion, I think that's doable. I think it's possible. I don't think that, as long as if the 21-week EMA is going to continue to go down, at some point we should cut through that pretty easily. And, I personally still hold firm to this belief that we are not breaking through the 1.618 Fibonacci retracement level from the 2017 Bitcoin peak, which is right around $30,000, that we're not going to see a weekly close below there. Could it happen? Yeah, it's within the realm of possibility. I'm not going to say 100%, but I am leaning on that we've never had a weekly close below that Fibonacci retracement level, and I'm sticking with it until it actually happens. But I don't believe that's going to happen this cycle. I don't think it's going to happen even next cycle. We'll see about when. Some other things that I'm seeing. So I was bullish around $35,000. We went down on January 24th to $32,000. I started turning bullish around $35,000 on the way up to $45,000. And then I sort of got a little hesitant. And the big thing that made me hesitant at that point is looking on chain and seeing whale activity. So I'm looking at a chart on my computer right now, ecoinometrics.com, or no, the Ecoinometrics Twitter account. And what I'm seeing is we saw, and you could look at the chart yourself, we saw heavy, just major heavy buying from the biggest cohort of whales for a period of several days leading into weeks. As Bitcoin went down to the lower 40s and then went down to the 30s, they started buying very heavily. And the smallest wallets will continue to stack. They will stack forever. But the biggest wallets, they were not buying all that much from $69,000 down to the lower 40s. But once we got to the lower 40s and then down in the 30s, they turned it up big time. And so then we made a move back up to $45,000. And you know what the whales did? The whales stopped. They stopped with that heavy buying. They stopped, at least for a time, but they stopped. And so they turned neutral. And we have some cohorts of whales that just have been distributing this whole time, but the only ones who were really buying were those who hold 10 or fewer Bitcoin. And so, of course, the price is going to go down from there. And that's the big thing. What's it going to take for the whales to be interested in buying Bitcoin and not feeling things out at $45,000? They were not interested. Just for a season, they were not interested in buying at $45,000. What's it going to take for them to be interested in buying? Some kind of catalyst for sure. But again, the whale, they know what they're doing. They know better than those of us who, the everyday Bitcoin buyer at least. And You know, I mean, that's a big thing I'm looking at. That maybe if we see a breakthrough 21-week EMA and a holding of support in that regard, a breakthrough one of those levels of resistance, a holding of support, then they will be interested. But they're looking at a lot of the same things we're looking at. They know where the resistance levels are, and that's when they're going to start turning cautious. And that's exactly what happened this time around. So time. You know, I know that the demographics of those listening to this podcast, that you are of an older demographic, and so you're more willing to wait than like a 20-year-old. It's just going to take time. Do I believe, again, that $69,000 was the peak for this cycle? I do not. But, you know, as soon as I came to that realization that we weren't going to see six-figure Bitcoin at the end of 2021, which I started shifting on November 17th, that specific day, 8 days after the $69,000 peak, there was a brief period of time where I was thinking, okay, maybe we'll just delay it a month. But then within really a few days after that, I was like, oh man, this is going to take much longer. And so maybe end of 2022, maybe early 2023, maybe even later than that. You've got to, man, you know, do I feel bad for those of you who wanted Lambos tomorrow? No, actually, not really. That's not how you succeed in this. And the lesson that you learn from your failure in this regard is more valuable. I'm telling you from experience, it is more valuable to you than getting your Lambo tomorrow. So anyway, moving on to Ethereum, I also want to do some Ethereum price action, just not action, but just what I'm seeing on chain. And it's weird with Ethereum because you look at other altcoins, which, you know, I'm at a point right now where I would gladly not consider Ethereum an altcoin. It's not an altcoin. Its market dominance is about 20 something. It's about half of Bitcoin's. So, all right, we're beyond Ethereum as an altcoin. We're seeing in the charts, in the prices, Ethereum not function how altcoins typically function, including how Ethereum functioned in the bear market, leading into the bear market in 2018. Ethereum lost 91% of its value. Right now, as of right now, Ethereum is just, as far as percentages from its peak to its bottom, we're seeing Ethereum pretty much in line with where Bitcoin is. And actually, let me think. Yeah, pretty much exactly in line percentage-wise where Bitcoin is. It has not lost. I mean, it did go down to $2,200, so that was more than a 50% drop. But that was when Bitcoin also had more than a 50% drop, as it went down to $32,800. And so it seems like it's right in line with Bitcoin as of right now. The difference is that I am seeing this conviction play out in on-chain analytics, where I'm seeing Bitcoin holders show a lot of conviction, and I'm seeing a little bit of weakness with Ethereum holders, including myself. Ethereum is my biggest holding, but did I sell any of my Bitcoin down from $69,000 at any point? No, I did not. And in fact, I added to my stacks, but I'll be honest with you, I did sell some of my Ethereum just to diversify. I bought some stocks, and yeah, those stocks aren't doing all that great either, but in general, there's a lot of stocks I'm willing to hold for 20 years, and a lot of cryptocurrencies that I own, I am very much not willing to hold those for 20 years. So if I have to hold those stocks for 20 years, so be it. I just wanted a little bit more safety in my portfolio, and so that's what I did. I moved it towards some stocks, but that was just like, 10,000, 15,000, something like that. I don't even know how much worth of Ethereum that I converted to stocks. But all right, on chain, what I'm seeing, if you were to look at the chart that I'm looking at, you probably wouldn't panic. And I would encourage you, don't panic. But what I am seeing is a slight uptick in Ethereum on exchanges. There have been seasons during, what's going to happen over the next 4 to 8 years is Ethereum is going to become extraordinarily scarce. Whether ETH 2.0 happens or not, Ethereum will become, just like Bitcoin, more and more scarce over the years. And there may be a point where the only way, if ETH 2.0 doesn't happen, the only way that you'll actually be able to acquire more Ethereum is to mine it. And if ETH 2.0 happens, then the only way you'll be able to acquire more Ethereum is to stake it. And that's it. There's not going to be much of an opportunity to buy some on exchanges. But so we're seeing a downward trend, but we're seeing an uptick within this downward trend. And I'm a little bit concerned. I mean, this has been going on since the end of 2021, and over the last week, it's been a net flow of $718.5 million worth of Ethereum added to exchanges. That's not an insignificant amount. That's $100 million worth of ETH per day over the last week. And when is that going to stop? When are we going to see net outflows? That's the thing that I'm really curious about. As of right now, I'm not seeing it. Now, how alarmed would I be as an Ethereum holder? Not super alarmed. I am done selling my ETH. I am not, no way am I selling it at $2,600. No way. The upside is much bigger than the downside, but there's a little bit of a cause of concern, just not a major cause of concern. I would say, now I'm going to talk about this later in this podcast, there are some altcoins that I would say, man, I would have much more of a cause for concern right now. And I'll highlight that as time goes on. And by the way, happy 2/22 of 2022, or if you are in Europe, 22/2 of 2022. Lots of twos today and on Tuesday. So yeah, what about, where are we going? Where are we going? Here's my big concern with altcoins. I am telling people right now to pretty much only buy Bitcoin and Ethereum and nothing else. Now, I haven't looked at, there's one exception that I've made, and that's Atom Cosmos. So where is Cosmos right now? It's at $24. So Cosmos has shown strength, but $24, it seems like it's moving in the direction of a lot of other altcoins. And so, and I again, you guys know how bullish I am on Litecoin. I would say now is not a great time to buy Litecoin either. So Bitcoin and Ethereum, because of this simple reason. Let's say that my thesis is right, and we range between $35,000 and $45,000 for, let me just say, 2 months. I could very much see it being 2 months, and that, we'll have maybe some movements below $35,000, maybe some movements above $35,000, but and who knows, maybe we'll have a huge catalyst and a huge melt up like some people are saying. I'm sticking with my gut, and I think that we're going to range within a narrow window, and that we're not going to go below that $30,000, that key level from the 61.8% higher level than the previous cycle top on a weekly close, at least, that we could wick below there. But anyway, if Bitcoin ranges between $35,000 and $45,000, I do believe a lot of these alts are just going to continue to bleed. And one thing that I want to warn you about, I just learned this today. I don't know why I didn't think about this before. And some of you may be like shaking your heads at me. How did you not know that? But Bitcoin dominance is a misleading figure. All right, Bitcoin dominance is misleading because what happens in bear markets or in bearish moments, whatever today is, what happens during times like today is that people sell. And what do they do? They convert to stable coins. And so stable coins, the stable coin dominance is growing over time. Excuse me, I'm not going to edit that cough out. It's growing. Stablecoin dominance is increasing. We're going to see more and more cryptocurrencies in stablecoins, in Tether, in USD Coin, in BUSD. I think 5% of the total supply of crypto as of right now is in stablecoins. And of course, those things don't lose value. What I think is a more accurate assessment of where the crypto market is to exclude stablecoins in factoring Bitcoin dominance. And I'm going to do the math on that at some point. I don't have those figures now, but what I want is a chart of Bitcoin dominance minus stablecoins, because what we're seeing is Bitcoin dominance as Bitcoin's price is going down. Bitcoin's dominance is pretty much staying the same, around 41%. And that would communicate to you that Bitcoin and altcoins are performing the same way, but it's not. That's not how it's working, because stablecoin dominance is increasing. And so what's actually happening is that Bitcoin and Ethereum dominance is increasing and alts are getting hammered. And so what happens if over the next 2 months, what if 2 months from today, on April 22nd, Bitcoin is $38,000, the same price it is as I'm making this podcast? I could see Solana at like $50. Honestly, it's at $84 right now. I could see, let me think, what else? Binance does okay. It seems to hang around. I could see Cardano. It's at 86 cents right now. I could see that at like 60 cents. I could see Polkadot at $10. That's at $16 right now. Bitcoin is the same price 2 months from now as it is today. And I could see a lot of these other altcoins. I could see a lot of altcoins just bleeding like crazy. And here's the misleading thing about it. Bitcoin's dominance, as I'm looking at it right now, is 41.53%. I could see Bitcoin's dominance at 41.53%. But then stablecoin dominance at like 6 or 7%. And people are still thinking that, altcoins are hanging around, but they're not. They're just not. And so that's my big concern right now with buying alts right now. It's just, you guys have been, those of you who don't hold any Bitcoin or Ethereum, you've been wrecked over the last few months. It's even, as I've been saying, most of your portfolio needs to be in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Here's why. This is absolutely why. You've been hammered. I've been hammered too. I'm not going to lie, but like, I haven't been hammered as much as some of you have, that's for sure. And so here's a reason why. The market will always keep you on your toes. And you might see Bitcoin's dominance at 41.57% and think things are okay when they're not. They're just, so if we're going to range around this period, man, as far as new positions are concerned, I'm telling you, this is not financial advice. Do your own research. Don't be misled by Bitcoin dominance, and don't think that just because Bitcoin dominance is ranging where it is, that means it's safe to get in altcoins. Alts that have lost 90% of their value could absolutely lose another 90% of their value, and Bitcoin could just stay where it is. But then what if this, nightmare scenario that I've talked about, what if the miners capitulate? Hash rate's going crazy. It's rising like crazy. How much more so will some of these altcoins just get crushed? And so do I think that's going to happen? Do I think that like Solana, it's lost about 2/3 of its value from its peak? Do I think it's going to lose another 2/3? No, but it's within the realm of possibility. It honestly is, while Bitcoin is in the 30s. So I've been going on, but all right, I've already led into this, and I don't want to fear monger anything, because in general, while Bitcoin is at $38,000, I'm bullish. I know the macro stuff, but all right, think about this. Solana on January 24th. How about I go there? All right, Solana on January 24th was $94.72. That was the day that Bitcoin went down to $32,800. It was a wick. It happened very quickly. We haven't gone anywhere near there, but Bitcoin went down to $32,800. Solana was $94.72. It bottomed out at $94.72 that day. And then it got up to the one teens, 114, 115, 118, something like that. But now Bitcoin's $37,000 and Solana is $86.25. That should communicate something to you. That should communicate exactly what I've been talking about. And so here's the most bearish scenario that I want to talk about with some of these altcoins. Look at the Solana chart. Go to coinmarketcap.com. Look at Solana and Terra Luna and probably Avalanche. Look at some of these mega performers. Cardano, look at them. Look and see how much, if you bought Solana in December of 2020, how much, if you are still in profit. The realized cap for Solana is so much lower in comparison to its current price than with Bitcoin. The realized cap for Terra Luna, for Cardano, is so much lower than where it is for Bitcoin. That means it could go so much further down. So look at these charts, and ask yourself something. Do these charts remind you of anything? It should remind you of something. And here's what it would remind me of, that Wall Street, the famous Wall Street cheat sheet, psychology of a market cycle chart. You know, you have a crypto go or stock go parabolic. You have optimism, belief, thrill, euphoria. You have a crash, an initial dump after it goes parabolic. You have a complacency bounce, and then it just goes down. Anxiety, denial, panic, anger, depression before the next leg up. And laying the Solana chart on here, looking at it, I would say that we are around the stage of denial. Denial, yeah. So I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if Bitcoin spends a lot of time, maybe even more than 2 months, ranging in the $35,000 to $45,000 range, I could see a lot of alts go through this entire cycle of a Wall Street cheat sheet, psychology of a market cycle. And we're in the period of denial right now, if that's the case. Will we have an alt season? I still think at some point we'll have a crazy alt season and things will go crazy and some of these cryptos will reach new all-time highs. I very much believe that's in play before the next halving. Maybe sometime in 2022, late 2022, early 2023, maybe later on in 2020. I still think that's going to happen, but still, that a lot of these cryptos, a lot of these altcoins could go through the entire cheat sheet, the entire market cycle. And so I'm not going to talk about NFTs this podcast, but I think Solana, just talking about Solana, I think Solana NFTs will do very well during this time because a lot of people have a mentality, one Solana equals one Solana. And so not all of my Solana, but a lot of my Solana is in Solana based NFTs right now. And I'm not sweating this at all, this possibility. But that's a reason. So I don't want to go all in with this idea that this is going to happen. Do I think it's going to really, am I 50-50? I don't know where I am. I'm just laying this out as a possibility that this could happen with alt while Bitcoin is kind of in this weird range. And so where was I going with that? The argument against that is something like Solana. People are just as interested in NFTs and maybe even more so than they've been. You need to buy Solana to buy these NFTs. So maybe it's not going to play out exactly like this, where you see a $30 Solana. Maybe not. And then Terra Luna, it's another thing with Terra Luna where the Anchor protocol staking is just so great that it's like the ecosystem has a lot of strength to it. And I'm just saying that this is a possibility, and I don't want some of you to get wrecked. So there's lots of positive things going for these cryptos, but again, the big ones that I would be concerned about are the ones that did have that big parabolic move. Solana had a parabolic move. It went up 10,000%, something like that, within a year. Luna, same thing. Cardano went from 2 cents, under 2 cents in the bear market bottom, to $3 so far. And it could still go higher, but right now, I mean, it's down 75% from its peak, or 70% from its peak. And yes, it can go lower. It's just those specific cryptos that had seen huge gains, I would be more nervous about those than I would about a crypto like EOS. I'm just throwing that out. That hasn't even reached its previous cycle top. It hasn't even reached its 2018 top. I'm going to look at that chart real quick on my screen. EOS, I bet, has more of a flat line already to it, is what I'm saying. So all time. Yeah, so EOS, it got up to, where are we here? It got up to $14.37 on May 10th, the day after Elon Musk went on SNL. It dumped really hard, went down to $3.65 in July, $3.26 in July, that July 20th bottom. Right now it's at $2.13. Its previous cycle bear market bottom was $1.84. I would feel much safer owning EOS right now than I would Solana or, any of these that saw the huge gains, because it's really close to its previous cycle's bear market bottom. Could it go lower than the previous cycle's bear market bottom? Could it just straight up die? It certainly can. But as far as the downward is concerned, I mean, man, yeah, there's more downward potential with some of these cryptos that saw huge gains. I have not looked at metaverse cryptos in quite a while. Let me check out Mana real quick just to see. Mana might be doing all right. So $2.55, and it's doing okay. It peaked at $5.47. That was a very violent move up and then right back down to normal levels. And so it's doing okay. Metaverse still has a ton of potential, according to Goldman, in $8 trillion potential market cap. So we'll see. We'll see about Metaverse. But that's another one. If you bought that in December of 2020, you would have gone from about 8 cents to $5.47. People holding Mana, yeah, they're in profit a decent amount right now. So, man, what do I say? I'm sorry. I don't mean to be too bleak. I really don't think if Bitcoin goes to the mid 50s that we're going to see a major alt season. I mean, it went to $69,000, and a lot of these altcoins didn't come anywhere near their early 2021 highs. And so I just think that alt season to fully happen, that we're going to have to see six-figure Bitcoin. But I think we need to see a move for Bitcoin that's kind of like it's filled with disbelief all the way up. And I think, if I see Bitcoin move to the 50s, there's going to be some disbelief. If I see it move to the 60s, especially with low volume, there's going to be a great deal of disbelief. And so even the 70s, 80s, I'm probably going to have this mentality of like, any day now it's going to end. So I'm not going to want to put any money in altcoins at that time. I'm sure that there's going to be plenty of retail people who are going to be like, here we go. And who knows, maybe we'll go up to $80,000 at some point in 2022 and then go right back down to the 40s. And even that won't be it. Anything is in play, but this is not the time to buy alts, in my opinion. So when do you buy alts? Let's see Bitcoin spend a fair amount of time above one of these moving averages. I mean, at least give me the 21-week EMA. Because, all right, so for Bitcoin and Ethereum, the downside potential, in my opinion, is not that much lower. But for a great amount of alts, especially those that have done very well over 2021, I think the downside potential is much greater. It's greater than its upside potential at this moment. Anything could change on a dime. I do want to leave with some positive mentalities and positive sentiment, because I am a bull in general right now. I think the entire crypto market cap will rise at some point in 2022. And so what does that mean for some of these alts? That they'll do better. But at this moment, man, I'm not touching any of these alts. I'm staying with Bitcoin and Ethereum. And that's it. And maybe at some point, I'll be like, back the truck up, baby, with Solana, with Luna, with Avalanche, with Cardano. But we're not there yet. We're just not. So patience is a virtue, but that is all I have for today. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I hope that you're not too bummed out by everything I'm talking about here. We will see a brighter day, and I love Solana and Luna and Avalanche. I like Cardano. And those cryptocurrencies will be worth much more one day And I do believe even before the next halving. So keep your head up. I'm thinking about Tupac song right now. Keep your head up. We will see brighter days. Peace.